I want to ask a quick question about BDS, Boycott, Divestment, Sanctions, the movement which targets Israel and Israel's occupation.
Well, yeah.
Are you a supporter of BDS? Do you endorse it as a strategy of resistance? Or do you, like Norman Finkelstein, friend, ally of yours, think it's a cult with goals that aren't necessarily in accordance with international law?
First of all, you confused two things. You said aimed at Israel and the occupied territories. Those are two different versions of BDS. The kind that I support and that I believe my friend Norman Finkelstein supports are the aspects of BDS aimed at the occupied territories.
Indeed.
And in fact, those are the ones that have been quite successful. They're principled, they're correct. The Methodist Church just joined in the other day.
So settlement products and other such things.
The settlements and the occupation are illegal acts.
Agreed.
Okay, and they're brutal, harsh, illegal, violate Security Council orders.
Yes.
So, and actions taken against
that
them.
you support?
That is perfectly legitimate. Actions against Israel itself, I mean, you might as well boycott the United States. I don't think that's.
So you wouldn't boycott Israeli products even if Palestinian groups are saying, join us in this campaign that they're comparing to the resistance against South African apartheid, etc.?
Sorry, it's not. I do compare it with South African apartheid, which was targeted against particular actions. So, for example, South African universities were targeted for racist hiring. If you find examples, so I think.
So would you boycott Israeli universities which are complicit in the occupation?
There's one that, as I've said repeatedly, would be a reasonable target for boycott, Bar Ilan, which has a subsidiary campus in Ariel.
But cultural boycotts, arts boycotts, operas, you would not support that?
I don't know, any more than I support them against other countries.
And it doesn't bother you that Palestinian civil society say this is the only weapon?
Some Palestinians say that.
Most Palestinians these days support BDS. If you look at the polling, you look at the civil society leaders.
Look, most Palestinians would support, if you asked Palestinians, do you want Jews to get out and go home, they'd say yes too. But that's not, doesn't mean, yeah, we follow that policy. If you asked...
to be fair, you're picking an extreme racist or whatever policy. This is a non-violent civil resistance policy modeled on other boycotts around the world, they would say.
Sorry, I think it should be modeled on other boycotts around the world, like South Africa. So, for example, in South Africa, when my friend Howard Zinn visited Cape Town University, and I think that everyone, including South Africa, thought that was perfectly legitimate. The South African, if you look at the South African sanctions, they were imposed at a time when the basis had been laid in public opinion for opposition to apartheid that was so strong that even Congress was passing sanctions. At that point, you have a basis for understandable, targeted boycott operations. The sports leagues that banned black. Okay, but that's what serious activism is.
So you don't think the BDS is serious because they're too broad-ranging?
No, I'm not saying that. Parts of it are very serious. But you have to ask, if you're an activist, it's second nature to ask, what are the consequences of my choices? Not, I'll do it because it makes me feel good.
Just to be clear, you say target the occupied territories, target the occupation. It's a mistake to go broader to arts, culture, other universities that aren't involved.
I think it is, just as I do not suggest boycotting Harvard University and my own university, even though the United States is involved in horrific acts.